Xin chào mọi người, cảm ơn bạn đã quay trở lại với Học Tiếng Anh OK. Mình tên là Duy hoặc là David. And today I want to kind of give you an update on my life because all of the more recent videos that you've been seeing on this channel have been pre-recorded. I made those a few months back and now I'm getting back into it because we're running out of videos, right? So I'm trying to give you a little bit of an update on what's going on in my life, as well as kind of some new perspectives that I have and some new things that are going on for me. So I think one of the more obvious things that has changed since the most recent video is that I got a haircut. I got a haircut a few weeks back, and that was just because I was tired of it looking kind of shaggy. And that was just a decision that I made, was I wanted to go a little bit shorter. So I got my haircut. The thing about haircuts in the United States, I really don't like getting haircuts here after living in Vietnam and getting some of the best haircuts, arguably the best haircuts that I've ever gotten in my entire life. It was so great. I would go in, I would ask for a nice clean fade. They'd skin fade me, and they'd do it in like 20 minutes for $4. But here in the States, haircuts are a lot more expensive. Generally, the average is around $20 per haircut. And usually I come away feeling like they didn't do the best job. So that's kind of a bummer about haircuts in the States, is they're a little bit more pricey and they're not as good of quality. I don't know why that is, but it's kind of how it is. So I try to avoid haircuts. That's why I tend to have longer hair, and why I've had long hair for kind of a while now, where it's just a little bit longer and I'll just throw on a hat. Because it's just so much easier to not have to go pay for a haircut when it's so expensive and I'm never really happy with it. This one I feel like came out pretty good, so that's a win. I'm excited about that. I'm happy about that. But haircuts in the States are not my favorite. I would 100% take a haircut in Vietnam over a haircut in the States. The next thing that's new is that I have been talking a lot about applying for jobs and looking for jobs, and I finally got a job. So I'm really excited about that. That job is a videography position. So I'm going for my university. I'm going and I'm recording videos and editing videos for the science department, which is awesome because back in elementary school, junior high, high school, I really liked science. I really liked math, but I also really liked creative work. So that's kind of how I ended up going towards advertising, is because it let me do creativity and problem solving. Whereas math and science was more just problem solving, and it was a little more analytical than I wanted it to be. So it kind of won out, but I still do like science and math. So this is kind of an adventure because I get to be a part of that science and math world, but also use my creative skills, which is so cool to me. So as of right now, I've been working this job for 2 weeks, and it's been great. They kind of let me do what I want. It's pretty relaxed. It's not too hard of work. It's just you go in, you do the work, and then you move on with your life, which is great. I enjoy that. And the fact that it lets me build my resume in the field that I'm looking for is awesome. I get to build that credibility, that experience, that if I'm looking for a future job in film or in videography, I can say, hey, I've done this. I've had a position that lets me do that. So that's great for my credibility, and I'm super excited to have this opportunity to work and learn from people that are better than I am. And going along with that, I know I talked about a lot of the frustration of failure. There's videos, I think 2 videos ago was about how failure is a good thing. And honestly, I still stand by that, which is great. I'm happy that I'm still consistent with that belief. But looking back on it, doing job interviews and learning the process and learning the skills, even though I got rejected so many different times, being able to persist helped me find a job that was more in line with what I wanted to do. There were other jobs that were kind of in line, but they weren't quite right, but I was willing to say yes if they gave me the opportunity, but they didn't. And it eventually led to me being able to work a job that is right up my alley, right what I want to be doing, which is awesome. So that's kind of something that I'm learning, is yes, it's a lot of work. Yes, it's hard to put yourself out there over and over and over again and get rejected, but you do learn a lot along the way. You learn the skills, and sometimes you get those no's because there's a better yes that's coming in the future. And that's not always the case, but for me right now, that's how I'm seeing this, is this opportunity wouldn't have happened if all the other opportunities hadn't fallen through and said no. So that's what I'm really excited about. I'm really happy that I was able to get a job and have it be something that I'm interested in doing, as well as learning all the skills of doing interviews and trying to get a job and understanding what that actually looks like, because I've never really done that in my life. I know in the past I worked as a lifeguard, but I didn't have to look and I didn't have to try super hard for that. I pretty much just had to go in, get trained, and then apply for the job, and then they hired me. It was really easy. It was not like interview after interview and you do a pre-interview and then a post-interview and you just do all these different interviews. It's like I just went in, did the training, got hired, and started working. Very simple. So going through this process has been so helpful for me, because I know now in the future, if I need to get another job after I'm graduated, there's a process to it. It's not going to be easy. Definitely not going to be easy. I know that. But at least I know that it's possible, and I know what steps I can take to keep moving forward, even if I'm getting no's. I can keep trying different things and trying different jobs. And that can be the same thing for you. Maybe you're looking for a job. Maybe you're trying to learn English. Probably most of you watching this channel are trying to learn English. And if that's the case, you're going to have a lot of failures along the way. It may not be easy, but that doesn't mean it's impossible, because every time you make a mistake, you realize, okay, that's something that I can fix. That's something that I can work on to change. And every time you do that, you learn a little bit more. You learn a little bit that you didn't know before, and you grow. And over time, that adds up until you're able to be at a level of proficiency that you're trying to be at. And really what it takes is persistence. Persistence and perseverance. And these are two words that are very similar, and it's kind of just saying that you consistently do something over and over. You have grit. You're resilient. Even when things don't go your way, you get back up and you keep trying again. And because I love movies, I'm going to quote a movie that I love. It's Rocky. And in Rocky, he's a boxer. He's kind of an underdog. He's not the best, but he gets up and he keeps trying. He keeps fighting, and he keeps moving past where he used to be. And this is one of the quotes he says. And he says, "It ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward." So this idea of getting back up every time something hard comes at you, you keep trying. And that doesn't mean that you're working at the same level every single time, because sometimes you get hit pretty hard and it's like, maybe I can't do as much as I used to be able to, or I can't do as much as I could before at this moment. So you kind of take it back and you do what you can. And then once you're ready, you move back into that space of working harder and harder. So it's kind of being able to adjust and regulate what your level of effort is. Because every day is not going to be the same level of effort that you can put in. And that's something that I have thought about, is not every day is going to be the same. And I used to think that if I was progressing, if I was improving, then I would continually be upping my level of ability. So let's say if I was learning Vietnamese, right? I start out and I think, okay, I know 0% of Vietnamese. But then maybe after a month, I know 5%. And then after that, I know 10%. But what if I stop practicing Vietnamese because I get really busy with school and I don't practice for 6 months? Then my ability kind of goes down to maybe 4% again. And it's like, okay, well, I can't do that same percentage that I used to be able to because I haven't done the work. So after that period of time, I come back to it and I work at that 4% again. and then I keep growing it. Maybe I get to 20%. That'd be awesome. That'd be wild. But then maybe life gets hard again and I have to go back down to a little bit less and I can't do as much and I start forgetting words and it's not as easy. It's not as fluid. That happens. That's part of life. And that's something that I'm learning is you can't always do everything all of the time. I'm going to say that again. You can't always do everything all of the time. You can try, but you're not always going to be able to do everything. And doing as much as you can is great. Doing what you can do on a certain day, that's great because it's better than doing absolutely nothing. And there are days where you just can't. You can't do anymore. But the thing is you keep picking yourself back up. You keep moving forward and things start to work out. Maybe it takes forever. Maybe it takes a really long time. Maybe you have to suffer for a long time. But eventually things do work out. And that's what I'm starting to learn. Is that maybe life is hard, but it's not always hard, and it's not always going to be impossible. There's not always going to be roadblocks. Yes, there will be roadblocks. Yes, there will be difficulty, but there will be things that work out, and there will be things that help you move forward. And part of that is being persistent, persevering, even when things get tough. You keep trying and do the best that you can. Whether or not that's the best that you could possibly ever do, maybe the best you can do is just that 10% every day, maybe even 1%. You just do a little bit, and that's the best you can do for that day. And then you do it again the next day, and you keep doing it, and you grow. And I don't know, I think that's been really helpful for me lately, and I'm really happy about that things are starting to work, even though not everything is starting to work. There are other things that I'm thinking about, other difficulties in life, but at least one piece has moved as I've put forth effort to figure it out. And that helps me realize that maybe if I do that with the other things in my life, then they'll start to move as well and things will start to make more sense. Because sometimes life can be confusing. So yeah, that's kind of a little update on my life. I mean, I'm sure there are other things that I could talk about, but I don't know, that's kind of been a principle that I've been thinking about and kind of something that I'm trying to work on in my life. And this has kind of been a little bit of a ramble, but it should be really good listening practice for you because this is really just off the dome, like off the cuff. I'm just kind of saying whatever's coming to mind. I didn't prepare this really at all. I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to talk about, but I didn't like write it out. So this is just like how I talk. So if you're looking for real native English, this is it. This is as real as it gets. So hopefully you're able to pick up some new vocabulary, maybe learn some new phrases and learn intonation from the way I'm talking. I'm kind of talking a little bit faster today. So if that's hard for you to understand, feel free to slow it down. I am going to add on English subtitles. I know a lot of people have asked for bilingual subtitles, and I would love to do that. I just really don't have the time to be going in and translating everything word for word. It just takes too long. If I get to a point where I do have more time, I would love to do that, but I don't have the time to do it right now. So I will do the English subtitles, but I can't do bilingual subs right now. Thank you for watching today. If you want to keep listening and practicing more English, feel free to like and subscribe to the channel and check out this video. It's a great listening practice to help you learn more English from native speakers. Bye bye, yeah.